Have you ever wondered what property managers do or what happens when you hire a property management company? Now, I understand that you know that they take care of the property or they manage the rental property, but what does that even mean? For the longest time before me being a property manager, I thought that property management was just collecting rent and finding tenants. But as soon as I started doing it, I quickly realized something, that property management is way more than just collecting rent and finding tenants. Now, when done right, I get why people think that way. When done right, property management should actually look like that. Just collect rent and find the tenants, and the owners doesn't hear anything about anything else. That's how it's supposed to be, because the property manager becomes the buffer between the owners and the tenants. They become the shock absorber of all the problems and nuances and all the complaints and negativity that comes with owning the property, so that the landlords can focus on things that actually matter, like maybe buy another rental property or restructuring their portfolio or buy more properties or go on a beach vacation twice a year. I don't know what property owners do these days, but you get the idea. But property management actually comprises of 5 things. It means or 5 layers, if you want to call it. It consists of maintenance coordination, tenant management, financial management, legal and compliance, and owner communication. This is what a property manager is supposed to be doing. This is what property management companies do. They absorb all the problems so that the owners are stress-free of owning the property. And for the most part, the way the most landlords or early investors think about it is that once they have a property, once they understand the nuances of it, they want to buy the next property, because owning the property is what builds equity, or that's what actually builds the value, not collecting the rent. The rent part, I think, is more like survival for the property. The rent pays the mortgage, and then the landlord can not worry about it. The property pays for itself. That's kind of the thing. But in order for that to happen, they have to be free to do the stuff in a way that the property manager take care of the property and they can do things that actually matter. Now, this is where things started getting fun. When you start, you say yes to every property. The properties that I manage specifically are in different places: London, Strathroy, St. Thomas. These are all cities that are 30 minutes apart. Now, not that geography is a problem, but I got to deal with properties like single-family homes and duplexes or triplexes or apartment buildings and multifamily homes, and all the different types of properties and all the different types of landlords. I've got to deal with landlords who are extremely emotional with their property and owners that pretend that they don't exist. They both exist on the same spectrum. You just have to play your cards right. Now, my expectations turned wild when I really thought, what are the odds of me calling my landlord? I call my landlord maybe once a month because, God forbid, the snow is not taken care of. But I thought that was the case for everybody. But that is not the case. Your phone never stops ringing. A tenant calls you in the middle of the night because their heater is not working. And now that is a serious problem. You probably should look into it. I do look into it. But let's say the bulb is blown. Go get a bulb from the dollar store and put it yourself. It's a very simple problem. But you get calls for that. You get messages for that. That is the part where people don't really talk about. It is the invisible stress that the landlords have transferred, or you have transferred from them to yourself. That's where the fun is. Now, the second thing about property management, the growth is kind of non-linear, meaning it's not a tangible product. Unlike a lot of other businesses that you can run, let's say a gym, a restaurant, or saloon, there is already demand. You just have to capture it, right? People do want to get their hair cut. People do want to have food. People do want to work out. You just capture the demand. But property management on the other side, in order for you to make the sale or get the clients, all you have is the expertise that you have, which is not a lot at the very beginning, not for me at least. So then the question then becomes, how do you convince a random stranger to let another random stranger manage their $1 million portfolio one fine day? That is where I struggled, or I'm still struggling. That is the constraint that I'm trying to break now. That's why the longer sales cycle happen. The sales cycles are longer. In order for somebody to trust you with their property, they need to have constant positive reinforcements along the way. Now, provided that happens, once it is in, and once you have enough systems and processes and things in place to take care of all the things, it kind of takes care of its own. That's the ideal position that I'm trying to get to. This is what I'm figuring out along the way. Now, there is a lot of emotional aspect to it. And when you think about a landlord, that is probably his largest investment. That is a lot of money. Even though the bank pays for it, it is probably, even if you think about the down payment that went into it, that's probably his biggest investment. When you think about from a tenant's perspective, the rent is probably the biggest chunk of a single time payment that is going away from them. Anywhere, if you're a family, the rents range from $1,800 to $2,700, $2,600. And that is a big chunk of money that moves away from them every single month. Pretty emotional. So they're paying that much money to live in a place. Most of the tenants expect that level of service. And there are tenants that take care of the property like their own. What are the odds? Considering that the verifying or the vetting process was good, maybe a 6 out of 10. But most times your phone will not be silent all throughout the week. Very rarely it is very silent, and I'm like, that is something odd about this. My phone's not ringing, there's something wrong. And most of the time I'm right. This is my experience managing different properties, and this is what I'm figuring out right now, having systems and processes in place so that I can work more in finding more properties to manage, so that the rental property owners can focus on things that actually matter, like increasing or building more of their portfolio. That in turns fuels this whole thing to move forward. That was my experience. My name is Evan Jason. I started a property management company, and this is my way of documenting that journey of trying to build a company as an immigrant in London, Ontario. If you found this video interesting, I suggest you drop a subscribe. And yeah, that was probably video 15, and I'll see you in the next.